Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on the podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. I'm your host Mike, as always, and with me today we have got Jimmy Dack talking all about the academy. Every season, Jimmy, I say, we should keep in touch, we should do more through the season, then your schedule, my schedule goes mad, and we end up doing it at the start of the season. So there's a lot to sort of go through. But firstly, how have you been?
I've been fine, yeah. It's been quite a challenging last year in regards to where we are as an academy, and that's sort of taken out your hands really by how the first team are doing, and it's no reflection on the academy or the players or the staff, but the EFL is all related to staying in the Football League, and obviously everyone knows our fate from last year, and there's a big fallout off the back end of it, and I didn't realise how tough it would be, but yeah, it's just there's not enough things in place to support you really. That's from the Football League, and us as a club, we can't finance the big gap that you're supposed to pay for to stay in the Football League. I mean, it's really tough. So for clubs like us, it was always going to be a big ask. And if I'm honest with you, for the last sort of 3 years we've come in, you started to really compete and do really well in all fronts, on all age groups. So that wasn't my biggest issue here in terms of players, because we'll always attract good players in where we're located in South London. But the biggest issue we've got is all the other bits and pieces that go with it, and most of it's all down to finance really. There's some big clubs playing in the same leagues as us, like Plymouths and Brentford and Luton's and stuff like that. So it's always going to be tough. But we finished, I think it was 6th in the league, which is a credit to a team that's in the conference. So I was so pleased and delighted with the players and all the staff's efforts really.
Excellent. Well, there's a few sort of bits I kind of want to touch on, just sort of general questions about how things are going. But everyone, we love the engagement. We want you to keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts on this episode. Let me know what else you'd like to hear. If you've got any questions for Jimmy directly, you can always send them to me and I'll pass them on for you. So the academy is kind of a pillar of our identity. It's not just a football nursery. We try and sort of create rounded individuals. What is the core? I mean, some of this is going to be proper management speak. I really do apologise. But what's the core philosophy that drives everything from all the age groups, from like the under 9s now up to the under 19s? How do you give these players their identity?
Look, we haven't. I'll just sort of give you a bit of a picture on what's gone on. Obviously, we've lost our academy from under 16s down to under 9s, and we've built that bridge with the Sutton Colts again. So we're now starting to work together and really build that relationship strongly, because I just want to sort of say on record, I just felt that this was way before I come in, but I just felt that the Colts really had a bit of a bad hand with it all, because the club going into the Football League, you're not allowed to have any grassroots clubs attached to you, which I find completely strange and stupid. But because they're the heartbeat of any football. So one of the first things we've done when we lost the our Cat 3 Academy was to build that relationship, because there's some really good work going on at the Colts with good people running it, and and the dealings I've had with them, that's just so for this football club. So I just wanted to firstly, I just want to say I'm really grateful that they took us back in, and we can sort of take the club forward, because if I'm honest with you, this club for me is all about togetherness. It's all about being a club, being as one, and it's a community club, and we all fight and work hard for one another, and that's the Colts is the heartbeat of that. They started, so it was my job to build that relationship. I've got a very good friend in there in Barry Moore, as the chairman. And I just knew that was where we needed to go to start the next episode or the new venture we're going forward in. So answering your question, it's just that community-based feeling that I instill in all the players. Be a good person, be respectful to your teammates, be respectful to your opponents. And come in and work hard and play for this football club and respect the badge. And, I don't know many people that leave this football club and they still don't look out for their results and stuff like that. And that's to me, like I always said to you, I went off and done other things, but this was always my football club. This made me what I am today and where I am today. So I try to instill all them good things into all our young players and the staff. You've got to get good staff that believe in the same and want to create this culture. So that's what we do, really.
I mean, I've always been amazed with how many ex-players just love coming back and remembering Sutton and their time at Sutton. But I mean, how do you, or how are we going to not just talk about the buzzwords and say the respect, hard work, togetherness? How do we get the message across to the kids? How is there kind of things that we do in training, or is it just the constant repeating?
It's the constant, it's constantly just teaching them to do right from wrong. Everybody's done things wrong in their life, and you've got to learn from them. And we've all made mistakes, but it's how you sort of learn from them, and that's what we try to say. We never throw people out the system if they've done something wrong. We just try to give them a chance to do something right and learn from it, and that's what we try to do. No one's perfect, right? And make sure when you come into the football club, you come in and you work hard every day and you're respectful, and that's all we ask for. If you work hard, your talent comes through, and that's what we try to say to the boys. And that's where we're at, and it's no different from, it filters from the top down to the bottom. I've always had massive support since I've played at this football club, and I've come back and worked as an academy manager. They can't give me everything, but what they can give me, they give me. And the support from the board and the first team manager and obviously Steve and Terry Bullivant, I can't thank them enough, and they're all great people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as you were talking there, I was thinking of something recently where I've said the apology is sometimes more important than the mistake. So if you apologise properly and deal with it, then everyone is allowed to get away with something, as long as they
100%. We're all human and we make mistakes, but it's about us being adults trying to guide them in the right direction. And one thing, if you're not coming here, it's in our academy. I don't say my academy, but it's our academy. If you're coming here, to work hard, be a good person, and treat everyone with respect, and all the other bits fall into place. And that's just the way it is.
That leads nicely, actually, because there's lots happening across the academy, and you said the younger groups are coming back in, and we're getting more grassroots. How do we measure success? Obviously, I especially love at the end of the season, we're seeing all these cup finals and trophies on display, and I get to retweet, yay, well done. But how do we kind of say, no, this is what success is for this academy side?
Well, you see, it's a bit different for me, because I'm coming from an academy environment now. So I look at success being how many players are we getting through to Steve and the first team. That's mine and Terry's job, and we're constantly, that's our goal, is to get players up through into the first team. Give them good values, give them good morals, and I believe we're doing that. We've had players coming through already. We've got Jack Taylor, obviously he's starting to come to light now. We got Vinny Tune, we got Junior, who I believe is going to be a fantastic player, as is Vinny, and all of them. But they're all good young men that actually want to be at this football club. They come to the games, they know everything about what's going on. They actually love the club, and that's what I believe they should do. Have feelings for the club, and then you want to do a little bit more to help and support them.
Absolutely, they are very good young guys, because they all humour me and play along with whatever I say to them, and they don't just pat me on the head and go, "Oh, go away, old man."
They do that to me as well. They're all so big. But look, listen, we just try and give them as much a good pathway, good information, and they're all receptive. You're only as good as how receptive they are. If they want to do it and they want to do well for themselves in this football club, then you're halfway there. The battle's pretty much won.
So you did mention what you get and what you're able to get, and obviously you can't get everything. But looking ahead to the next 3 to 5 years, what is your big picture? What is your long-term vision?
Well, my long-term vision is to build, because previously, before I come, there was a really good college program with, obviously over 150 boys in the program. Now, my vision, and then obviously it was a bit easier because they had the 3G at Sutton United and stuff like that. But that's where I want to take it. I want to take this club back to that. I want us to start to bring the community back into the academy. When it's professional, it's great, and all these elite players that we're getting in is great. But I just want it to get back to. I want us to get back to being a good college program in the local area, that everybody, if they go and do their A levels and they want to play football, I want to be able to offer that. We're building some great relationships with Team Sports Club in Peaches Close. Now, these guys are Sutton fans, and they have been nothing short of fantastic for this academy. Very supportive. We train there on a daily basis. We've now we've built some offices. We've got some offices there for the academy, and we're now building 2 classrooms for a college program. So, we're starting to build up a 16 to 18 college program. We've also got the under 18s. My second years of my EFL league, EFL program, we've still got 9 of them. So we're still in the EFL league for one more season, and if we went back up next year, then we can remain as a Cat 4 club in the EFL league, which is great. But my focus is mainly trying to rebuild this college program, so it's a really good business model, and also people probably don't realise that running a a football league program is very expensive, and this club has been so supportive towards me and everything that we wanted to do. But I also know that it's a massive hole in their pockets, and I just want to try and build a program where we can start to generate players, and it's not costing the club as much as it was, because I know that everything that I asked for, they supported pretty much, but I don't think it's the right model for a club like us. I feel we should be building a college program where we're generating good players, and you'll generate good players by having a good academy, and that's what we're aiming to do. Where they're getting their education, they're getting their A levels. They're also wanting to come because the coaching's good, the environment's good, and that's where I want to sort of try to take this academy in a different direction. And the icing on the cake is we've and I say we've, but Ben, our director, come up with a fantastic idea about running an under-19s, which I thought at the time was a great idea, but how we're going to do it now? We are now 6 months into it, and I couldn't be any more happier. We've just entered into the National League, under-19 league, playing your Wokins and Aldershots and Eastleys and Wildstones. It's a really good competitive league on a Wednesday, and I've signed 12 under-19, so which would be third-year scholars now, and we've signed them from all different backgrounds. I've got one lad that's coming from West Ham, centre forward. I mean, he looks technically brilliant. He could be anything. And I've also signed a centre half from Middlesbrough, and these are all local boys, based in the area, which is even better. Signed a left back from Millwall, but then I go and sign a centre half from Crawley Downs, who's got 30 non-league step 4 or 5 games under his belt. So we've got a good blend of players that we've signed, and we've also brought them in with some of the good players that we've had in our own academy, being Vinnie Tune, George Forster, Vinnie Tune, George Forster, and God, I know there's another one. I've just forgotten. Oh, Liam Moore. Sorry. And obviously Junior would have been one of them, but Steve has given him a full-time professional contract, which he deserves. So we've got a good blend of sort of ex-players, second-year scholars coming up to third-year scholars, and new recruits come in. And we've started pre-season, and I've got to be honest, Mike, they look bloody really good. I couldn't be any more happier with the start we've had, really.
So, looking back at last season, what moments on the pitch have stood out as real sort of highlights for you? Any specific moments, player breakthroughs, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, all of them. We could start from Liam Moore captaining the team in one of the cup games. I think it might have been Nottingham Forest at home. Vinnie Chu making his first team debut. Junior making his first team debut, starting and then clattering someone just before half time and having to come off because he was on one yellow card. I mean, that's the sort of guy he is, right? He just plays with.
Made Will Randall get subbed as well.
Yeah, exactly.
He ended up coming off. He was doing nothing.
I mean, he is one tough fella, and I'm constantly just trying to. If he can control that side of his game, I don't know where he could go. He could certainly play League One, in my opinion. I've never, as a trainer and as a person and somebody that wants to be a footballer, in all my time in football, I don't think I've come across anyone with the desire that he has. So, I hope and pray that he gets everything he deserves in the game.
And every season has its ups and downs, and obviously there's various teams you're looking at. What has been sort of biggest learning curve for you this year, and has there anything that's already tweaked? I know you've made lots of changes. Have you had a chance to sort of stop and think, oh, I would have done that differently?
Say the question again, because I can't quite. I'm trying to.
Every season's got its ups and downs.
Yeah.
You've been super busy with lots of different teams, but what's been the biggest learning curve this year for you or the academy, either on the pitch or behind the scenes, whatever?
I can't quite put my finger on one. I don't really. There's learning curves in everything. You know, what would I do better? There's loads I'd do better. You know, but yeah, I don't know. I can't really answer that question. I don't think it's. I don't think.
You heard it here first. Jimmy's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to get something for you to answer your question. But
that's fine. Don't worry. We'll move on.
What's the learning curve from what I've seen? Nothing at all. Just keep working hard, and I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question really.
Fine, don't worry. And you've mentioned players that have come sort of broken through, and that's your aim. But how do you decide when a player is ready for that jump to the first team? Do they get chucked in for training? What sort of makes that decision?
Well, we're lucky really because we got a manager that actually gives boys a chance. Now, I think we've all got to be mindful that it is hard being a manager, and you are governed by your results. So you tend to play people who does what it says on the tin. You know what you get. I mean, listen, these boys are going away to Rochdale's and Oldham's, and they're tough games, and you're throwing an 18-year-old kid in, or even Ebbsfleet away, But we're lucky because we got a manager that actually does that, and he's prepared to put his name on the line, and I admire that and respect that, because we just look at results, but we got to look at the bigger picture. We're trying to build something. We've got a 3 or 4 year program. Steve give a 16-year-old kid his debut at Ebbsfleet. I don't think you'll see many managers in the conference doing that. But he doesn't rant and rave about it. He just gets on with his job, right? So, we've got a little system now where Steve, Terry, and myself, we're always communicating on a sort of weekly, daily basis. But Terry's the sort of gap, the bridge. I deal with the academy. Steve deals with the first team, and Terry's that bridge for the both of us, really. And if he feels that we can step someone up, he'll support them, and he'll do that. He'll tell Steve when they're ready, because we don't want to put them in and they're not ready, and we kill them. But the one good thing about it is we bring them in to train, and it's not just on a one-off basis; it's on a regular basis. And once they start to get a feel and comfortable around the first team environment, because it is a big jump for them. These are young lads that are aspiring to being footballers. And when they see him on Saturday playing in the games in the league, when it was the football league or the conference, these boys, they watch him on the touchline. Now all of a sudden they're training with him. It's a big step for them. So we're lucky because we've got a manager that don't put them under pressure. He phases them in slowly, and when they play because Steve believes in them, and that's it. It'll always be his decision, but we as a club have just decided that that's the route we're going to take, and and results might differ, but we've got a manager that's prepared to do that, which I think is a credit to what we're all trying to do. Listen, we all want to be back in the league, but it's going to take a bit of time to we've got a really good group of players coming through, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a 1 season, 2 season, 3 season model, but we know if we can keep this group together, we're going to be in a good position, I feel, going forwards. And so does the manager, and so does Terry.
That's a really good point, because it is obviously for me watching on the sides and everyone watching on the sides. Oh yeah, great, it's another youngster. Never really connected that hang on, this is a big risk for Steve to put them on, even for 10 minutes or so, because a lot can go wrong. I'm not saying it would, but a lot can go wrong in that 10 minutes. So that's a really, really good point. Thank you.
No, it is, and people know that, you know, I don't mean it's all, but Steve's name's on the attached to Sutton United, you know, and they don't, when they look at results, most people that pick up the non-league or the Sunday papers or the internet, they just see results. They go, oh, you know, Sutton only drew, whatever. But there's more to it than that. You know, we've got 2 or 3 youngsters in and around the squad, you know, people that actually really want to play for this football club. And, you know, we've got a model and a process. And, you know, if we have, as long as we've got patience with it all, I think that we'll be in a very, very good position in the next 2 to 3 seasons.
Well, that leads us on. You've mentioned or hinted a couple of times of some new sort of programs which do kind of seem quite ambitious. Talk us through some of them. There's the under 19s, the post 16s. There's quite a lot going on behind the scenes that people may have seen a tweet or two, but don't really know the extent of it.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a little bit of a broad insight. We're going to run an under college program with 16s to 18-year-olds that will be training every day at Cheam, and they will be schooled at Cheam as well. And we're going to be running 4 teams next year, and they will be in one team. But we've also got an under 18 team that's going to be in the EFL program. Our last year, if we don't get promoted, then we come out of that, and we've got an under 19 team. Now, within all that, if a college boy comes, because they don't all go through the football league system, and they're all, you know, you do get players that take a different route. Now, you know, obviously Killian was a massive example of that. You know, he come through the college program system, and he's gone on to, you know, have a good career so far in the league. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to phase players where we can adjust where they are in their playing. You know, we might have a really good under 16 that we might fast track into the under 19s. We might have 2 or 3 under 19s that are going to be playing in Steve's team. You know, we don't know. We're just, in the next 3 or 4 months, it'll all start to unravel who's at where. Now, most of the under 19s, we would possibly like to get out on loan. There's lots of reasons behind that. You know, we sent out Jack Taylor. He went to Burgess Hill, then he went to Hornchurch, then he went to Hampton. And it was a bit of a process, really. He went out and got his experience playing at these clubs, come back into Steve's team at Christmas time after really doing well at Hampton and Richmond. And Terry, myself, Steve boys, we monitor his progress. All our boys that go out on loan, we keep watching on a Saturday to see where they're at and get constant feedback from managers. And we will get them out on loan. And then once they start doing well out on loan, then once they've got their experience in men's football, because don't ever underestimate the challenges from coming out of under 18 football into men's football. It's huge. Now, not many make that step, Mike, straight away. Not many at all, unless you're Wayne Rooney. But, you know, there isn't many. They always tend to go out on loan and then come back, then go out on loan. And that's the sort of model we're doing. We send them out on loan to get their experience, get a few whacks in the face, learn how to jump a few tackles, learn how to win football matches, because a lot of academy football is all about development. Well, we're now in the business of winning football matches, and that's why we have to send them out on loan, which is why we've put this model together of getting the best under 19s that have been released from clubs with our under 18s, and then we can sort of start to manage them, get them out on loan, and then the ones that are doing really well, we can pull them back, and Steve can have in the first team. We did it with Junior as well last year. We sent him out to Walton and Hersham, and he had a season there, fabulous season, and he's come back and you know, he's in and around Steve's squad now. So which is great.
So, yeah, I was going to ask about how do we keep tabs on them on loan. So you've already covered that. A difficult one. How do you manage with the ones that aren't quite making it? How do you sort of support them if we're letting them go, essentially?
Yeah, it's always so hard letting players go, but we try to let them go. If we let them go, we've let them go out on loan. We've circulated their name. Most of our second years last year that didn't get an under-19 scholarship, they'd all been out on loan to other clubs, and they've been getting their experience elsewhere. Now, we still support the boys now. We've got players that was here the year before, and we still speak to them. Bev Little, who's our head of player care, she literally makes sure that we follow up on everything, and make sure that there's always little gaps that we miss, and Bev's there to sort of make sure that we get the attention to detail right, and make sure that we follow up on everything, and make sure that we can support them in any way, shape, or form. You never leave this club on bad terms, and that's what I say. You leave this club, and there's always a chance you can come back. The door's always open to everyone.
Do you ever have a sneaky hope that they're all going to go away and prove you horribly wrong, and that you've made a terrible mistake, and they're going to
Prove us right.
coming back with their 100 caps, going, "See, you should never let me know."
Yeah, or prove us right.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't have been at the club if they weren't good players. So, the trouble is you can't sign everyone, and that's where it's hard for me, because I'm with these boys, and I don't say get emotionally, but you build up a relationship. So, I treat them all like my sons, and I treat them like I would want to be treated. One of the things I always say to all our boys that come into the club at 16, I always say to them, look, you're coming into a football environment now. We can do this one or two ways. I treat you like men, or I treat you like boys. And 99.9% of the time they go, no, we want to be treated like men. I said, okay, if you want to be treated like men, then that guy won. And then straight away, you can see straight away that something changes in them, because they go, well, actually, this isn't like school.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that environment. I want an environment where we're all respectful of one another. Because I think if we haven't got that, we've got no foundation. So yeah, that's how we do it.
Well, you've mentioned Jack and Junior a couple of times. I mean, do you feel? I mean, it's an obvious question now. Saying it out loud, that pathway shows that we've got genuine way for kids to come from the academy. Do you get to use that in your recruitment to say, hey, look, these two guys, example, and how useful is that they've been successful thus far?
Yeah, definitely. And do you know what? When I signed these under-19s, they actually knew themselves. They do their homework. These boys now, they do their homework, and they look at what club do they feel that they could be showcased and get where they all want to get to. And I think we've got a good record of that. We've always had a good track record of players coming through, and we never stop them. We never. I mean, the name Sutton United locally and in and around our area is huge, right? And we need to lean on that a bit more, and and we do. I feel that we really attract good players. I mean, last year we've sold, for 2 years we sold a young 14-year-old to Palace for I can't say, but it's quite a considerable amount. And we've sold 2 players this year from the academy for good money. Now, not life-changing money, no, but it's something which tells me that we're doing something right. I mean, we don't do it to earn money. We do it because I look at that and think, we're doing something right as a football club. And the one thing for me is when they leave, the parents always ring me up and thank me or thank the club, and and even now, I've still got one of the dads who we sold, one of the players we sold to West Ham. He's always ringing up. He cuts trees. He said, "Oh look, if you need anything, just give me a call." That's just the sort of people we all are. We try and help each other, and that's Sutton United.
Excellent. So there's obviously the training overlap where the lads go up and sort of help with the training. They tell you how many bodies they need and so on. But is there any other kind of connections? Do senior players ever come sort of to the academy sections to just be around the place, see the kids? Not kids.
Yeah, look, the one good thing about it is now we're slowly getting closer and closer to training nearer each other. When I first come in, the first team were at Harlington and we was at Cheam. Now, you couldn't be any further away if you tried. Now, bearing in mind that most of these boys don't drive and stuff like that. But now, where we're based at Cheam or David Weir and the first team are training at Tooting, we can have that better relationship. And also as well, the boys do all their gym at the David Weir. And even today, it was really pleasing for me because I was watching all the first team boys come over and start to integrate with all our boys, and hi, I'm such and such, and introducing themselves. And I thought that was great, just seeing 40, 50 boys or young men all together. And I just think that's what it's all about. It shouldn't be it's not that we choose to have a divide, but because of where we trained, it was harder. But now, obviously, Terry and Steve have made, and Ben, who was instrumental in making sure we got back into the area. Once we started bringing them all together, you can see that there is a stronger togetherness now. And when our boys go into the changing rooms, they don't look around and think, "Oh my God, I shouldn't be here." Imposter syndrome. They actually feel part of it, which is great.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah, I know all about that. Also, the big fella back. He did his testimonial, leaving Sutton. And within a few days, you're like, "Nah, we'll have you back." What's he going to bring to the group?
Well, the big fella, I to be fair, I was trying to get him in last year because he's a great guy first and foremost, and he just loves the club, and I just feel that you can't have enough people around you like that who believe in the same thing as you do. So we managed to have a good chat with Dundo towards the end of the season, and I'm delighted we've got him on board to sort of work with the college boys and the whole academy, really, because he just backs up all our values that we have in the academy, all my staff.
Yeah, he's the example. Go on.
Also, there is other people. I mean, obviously, Dundo is great. We're delighted to have him in. But we brought Sid, who's my nephew, which he's a fantastic coach. He's been working in the academy for 2 years now. He's a B licensed coach, and he's a really good coach. And obviously, he's been over sort of that's not the right word, but sort of guided by Glenn Nichols, who's my head of coaching, who's a fantastic coach, and he drives everything on the training ground and makes my life a lot easier.
Can't be having that.
Well, listen, I come into this job, and it was supposed to be more football based and football related. Well, I've actually learned how to do spreadsheets and do more admin than I've ever done. So the job that I've taken on, it's completely wasn't the job that I come in to do. So I've had to try and build the business and the structure of the academy, and I'm feeling now that we're in a really, really good place to try and sort of push on a bit.
Yeah, some people I would have sympathy for, but you knew all about Sutton United, so you knew what you were signing on for was never going to be what you were actually doing. So that's on you.
It's the one thing, we stutter over the line and we get there, and it's not through like the want and desire. Everybody seems to pull together, and that's the one good thing about this place. We might fall short in some things, but when your back's against the wall, everyone digs in for you, and I think that's what makes us a good club, really.
I mean, there was, I think in our first season in the EFL, obviously a lot of attention on us, and the academy sides had, I think there was a cup match, and there was a few people sort of coming down just to see, and they were fascinated to see that Bruce was doing the car park duties. It's kind of what it's like around here, to be honest.
It is, it is.
Hand your fluorescent jacket.
I mean, it's brilliant. It's you've got your chairman doing loads. You don't normally get that at any football league club or anything. But for your chairman to be guiding cars in, and next minute I know he's like collecting tickets, or he's doing the when you go on the microphone before games and stuff like that. I mean, you couldn't make it up. That don't happen at many clubs.
So we're heading into the new season. What's your kind of biggest hurdles at the moment, or have you covered all bases? You've got recruitment. I know there's been some leaving due to different statuses, and are you kind of ahead of everything now, or are you still thinking, I still need to solve problems A, B, C?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been such a big turnaround. We've lost we've lost an academy. We're now building another academy. It's been challenging. Losing 110 boys where you had to say, look, thanks very much, and but there's no more football next year. That was really hard. That was my hardest challenge. Because they don't know. They just want to play football. They don't know what the reasons behind everything and stuff like that. That was quite challenging for me. We've got a lot of. I feel that we've got a lot of our ducks all lined up. Because we're going into a little bit of new territory. I feel that we've planned well. Recruitment's been way and beyond better than where I thought it would be for the under-19s. I'm really delighted with that. And actually, if anyone wants to come and see them, we've got a game against Leatherhead on Saturday. But look on the website. We can put all the games we got. We got a few games, midweek games. I think Rains Park Val. Who else? Corinthian Casuals. But please come down and have a look, because there's some really good, talented boys to look at, and I feel it's exciting times. Honestly, we've put things in place. We've got so many moving parts at the moment. I'm just taking everything sort of a week or two at a time. Hopefully, we get through the pre-season unscathed. Then we go into the under-18s EFL League. Then we've got the college boys coming in from I bet you wish you didn't ask me this.
That's fine.
All the college boys coming in from August for their pre-season. Then they start school on the first week of September, and their games program, and the under-19 start in September. So much going on. Like always, we'll get through it, and we'll all be stronger for it. And we'll just keep running with the punches, as they say.
I'll have to teach you some conditional formatting for your spreadsheet, so you can have all the colours popping up when things. So, put you on the spot a little bit. Question you obviously knew was going to come, but what's the current crop of talent? Who is going to be the ones breaking through this season, do we think?
What are we talking about? We're talking about under-19s, we're talking about under-18s, and we're talking about college program.
We're going to start sneaking into the first team on the bench, or?
If I'm honest with you, and we have got 12. Well, we've got 10 signed players now. And I'm going to sign 2 more. We've got 4 trialists in at the moment, and I need to sign 2 wingers out of there. But any of them 12, I honestly believe, could possibly step into Steve's squad. I mean, if Steve needed them, they look like they've got a lot of ability. I'm not saying they'll go and play, but I think that come Christmas time, if Steve needed any of them, he was struggling with numbers or injuries or whatever, I honestly feel that there's quite a few, if not all of them, that I would put my name to and say, look, he'll do all right for you. I do think that they're a good bunch. Only time will tell. I'm saying it now, pre-season. Will that decision be different at Christmas time? Possibly. But what I've seen and what we've recruited, Terry, myself, and Steve Boyce, and Steve, obviously he's played a part in that. What we've all recruited, I feel will be a really good addition to what we're doing. Yeah.
Excellent. Right. You'll be pleased to know, lastly, and you've hinted at a little bit of this, but what is your takeaway message for the supporters ahead of the new season? What would you like from the Sutton United fans?
Come and support us first and foremost. Come and get a feel for what these young crop are coming through. So, come and watch us. We're going to play on a Wednesday afternoons down at Cheam or David Weir, but it'll be more down at Cheam. Come and watch us and see what we've got to deliver, and then they can put a name and a face to them when they're in and around the first team. Because I think it's exciting times for the club. I really do. And look, let's not forget, we've got some really good second-year scholars. Charlie Bell, Bobby Sugar, Dan Erpin, the list is endless. Reevesy, who's been in and around the first team. The list is endless. Ned, I just think, just come and get a feel for what we're doing, because when we play against all these bigger clubs, these boys, they never fall short. They're competing on all fronts. I mean, I think that there's some good times ahead for the whole academy.
Excellent. That is perfect. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. As always, we appreciate everyone's attention and feedback. Follow, like, share on all social medias at Sutton Podcast. Subscribe. Any questions for Jimmy, pass them to me and I'll pass them on. Or if you've got his details, you can always contact him direct. But he probably doesn't want that. As always, thank you to our sponsors, Lucky Star Gin. Thank you for listening, and thanks to yourself, Jimmy, for your time. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Sutton Podcast. Take care, and we will catch up soon. Bye-bye. United! 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 United!